Hello and thanks for checking out TheChartGuys.com. We're proud to be one of the most successful technical analysis communities online, teaching you the skills to become a more confident, effective, and informed trader. Join our community of hundreds of analysts worldwide working together to learn the charts, generate profit, and achieve financial independence. For access to daily live chart analysis and market coverage, a thriving chat community, along with dozens of hours of exclusive educational materials. We look forward to seeing you. Let's check out some charts. Hello everyone, we got close on today, so we got the video running. We got CGC, ACB, APH, CRON, TLRY, RIV, and NBEV. So we had a profit-taking day. The momentum was favoring the bears into the end of the day for the vast majority of the sector, which means look for a potential gap down open tomorrow. We know what the bulls and bears can both do with regards to pre-market trading due to the less volume that is required to move the price. So let's see if we get a lower open. Clear lower high is established on the daily for CGC. The ranking that we did in the video yesterday followed through to a good degree. We saw ACB with the gap up open in reaction to earnings. Make sure and have multiple sources, because if you only read Twitter or you only read Reddit, you would be thinking that it was a bearish reaction to earnings. That's just not the case. And if you bounced around to other sources, you could see that Reddit's initial reaction was definitely skewed to the negative side. But we've got lower highs here of 56.60, 55.69, and now 55 even. So those are the clear lower highs that we're watching. And at this point, it was ACB that was the strongest, and it was CRON that was the weakest. And CRON had a pretty weak day compared to everybody else. CGC, so we are looking at this level, 48.02. That's the must-hold level for me personally. Again, we're keeping everything in mind with regards to October 17th. As I've stated in the past, I am not taking it for granted that we're going to run into that date. In fact, I am making the bulls prove it to me. I have to see signs that we're going to, and I'm personally assuming that we are not going to. And not in terms of acting on any trades with regards to that feeling, but being skeptical enough to say, all right, bulls, show me the volume, show me resistance is breaking, and then if we get that, absolutely, I'll ride bullish. And for CGC, at this point, we must hold 48.02. This consolidation is not a red flag at this point. The 4-hour chart was a bit extended with a couple days of upside without pullback. So we are looking for a higher low to form compared to 48.02. And then the bulls will just need to see a break of 55 and 55.69 for the follow through to head back to testing that all-time high. So no red flags at this point. It is definitely healthy consolidation. We did change the hourly trend with a lower high and then a break of the low of the day. So we are definitely in consolidation mode. And the question is going to be, how long is that consolidation going to last? At this point, the S&P 500 is still very strong. FOMC is tomorrow. As I mentioned in the last video, that could have an impact on the market volatility. Just to be aware, if we were to lose the daily uptrend in the S&P 500, that would increase the odds for me just a bit that we are not going to see a bull run into October 17th. Again, I know it's not a popular opinion. It's just my opinion that's keeping me protective to not give back $1 of the wonderful gains over the last month plus. So we are in consolidation mode. We're watching for the higher low compared to 48.02, and we've got resistances on the 15-minute time frame we can be watching, with the most clear ones at 54.11, 54.75, and 55 after that. ACB, congrats to the bulls who held overnight. Not sure if I mentioned in the video, but I did swing trade a position. I don't usually trade earnings. Earnings are a gamble. Unless you were putting in a dozen plus hours of fundamental research, you know the sector, you're researching competitors. If you're putting in a lot of time and effort, yes, you can get an edge on the earnings reaction. I don't put enough time in to kid myself to think that I have an opinion that is more than just a gamble. So why I chose to play ACB is because if I'm looking at any other given earnings report from any stock, and I'm looking at this ACB report, I say to myself, all right, there is more likely a chance that we get some bullish news with this report. We know there's a lot of speculation and rumors. We know CGC reported or put out news on its earnings report. That didn't end up happening, but that was a reason. That's a slight shift in the odds in my favor. Obviously, the bull momentum in the sector as a whole, these were reasons that I chose to enter a bullish position and swing it. And I sold. Let's go over what I did short term, and then we'll go over the regular technical analysis, because this is a really good example of staying protective and keeping your profit. So what I did first thing this morning, let's look at the 2-minute time frame. My game plan first thing out of the gate, on this size of a gap up open, if you're going to give me a week maker of a trade overnight, I am going to lock that in and not give any of that back on any kind of gap fill. So as soon as we opened, instantly 50% off the table. Then I watch how we trade. And I took the other 50% off as well, a bit prematurely. Again, it was just me being protective, saying, okay, it was more than a week maker at that point. So I took it all off. I'm back to all cash. Then I say to myself, if we hit a new high of the day, I'm going to enter bullish. And I do that because at that point, because I sold, I have zero risk now at this point. And if the bulls prove to me that they can hit a new high of the day and see follow through, and I know there's a lack of resistance after that high of the day, I will gladly exchange a few pennies. Let's say I sold my average. I was trading ACBFF, but as a rough example, let's say I sold my average at 1307. And then I make my bull entry at 1314 breaking. I'm losing 8 cents or so to be protective enough on my position to know that I'm not going to lose a penny. And I will gladly make that trade on a play like this. So I did re-enter, same position on the bull break, and then sold it again in the first, few minutes of follow through. And that was to lock in that profit yet again, just add some icing on the cake of a great morning of profits. And after that, I didn't trade ACB again. And then you look at how we closed on the day, and obviously taking profit was the ideal way to go in terms of the gap up open. So what we have on the daily time frame now for ACB is a big upper wick of profit taking, and we're going to look if we break 1254 tomorrow, there's a gap to fill at 1236. That's our next target. Anything above 1144 keeps the bulls in full control with a higher low on the daily time frame. So here as well, there's no major red flags. We're just pulling back and filling some of the gap, and that's what I wanted to avoid. And granted, we did not get it first thing in the morning, but it ended up playing out that way, and being all cash and avoiding that is ideal. So 1256 is key support. If we're looking at lower highs, 15-minute time frame shows us there's resistance at 1293, 1296, 1314. So at this point on individual names, I think the 15-minute chart is giving us the most clarity of lower highs. And as far as supports go, you can look again at the 4-hour time frame and see that this consolidation, there are no red flags at this point. The last higher low was a long way away, and it's healthy consolidation so far. That could change, but at this point, until we see a lot of bear volume, that's not changing. APH, not a whole lot going on today. Potential for our lower high being set. Things are getting really tight on APH right now, and we need to be watching. Let's see, we've got our high, low of the pullback, lower high, higher low. This may be a lower high. If we come down here and break 1857, that's a red flag on the daily chart. Again, with a perspective knowing that at this point we have, 15 days left before the 17th, 15 trading days. I believe that's correct. So we got 15 trading days left, maybe more than that. It's about 15. Knowing that we have that, if we get this break of the daily higher low and drop to 1857, what are the odds that we're going to be able to head back up over 22 before October 17th? And the answer is the odds shift to be less likely. So it's all about whether that support level can hold. If 1857 breaks, there is a lack of support in this zone until we look down at 1576. So the bulls really want to hold that level, and it might come into play for the rest of the week. So watch APH in 1857. If we look on the 4-hour time frame, see some clear lower highs. A new clear lower high is 2057. And it's all about some support levels. Hourly time frame, we can pick out support at 1903, 1888. So there are a few support levels on the hourly, but we are headed down with momentum towards that support level. That's the most important support level. And out of the 3 names that we've looked at, the risk of a clear bear break on the daily time frame is higher on APH than those other names. Cron, clearly the weakest name today on the pullback that we saw. I might have said TLRY was weaker yesterday. TLRY is its own beast. So really, for me, the way that I look at this sector, it's the big 4 plus TLRY. And once things settle down a little bit and we don't have, 20% moves in extended hours trading, then when it reaches normalization, that's when it'll join the rest of the big 4, in my opinion, as gauges of the entire sector. But for right now, anything above 926 is a higher low on Cron. So we're not at risk of losing the daily uptrend at this point, but we're clearly pulling back, bear momentum, closing down at the low, and it's been the weakest name day after day, and it's just a clear hourly downtrend. We saw an equilibrium attempt. It broke bearish, lower highs and lower lows. So at this point, it's the low of the day. Actually, to go back to the hourly, I'm looking at 1147. Actually, that broke. So 1139 and then 11 psychological is the next level. Look at the lack of support after 1139. Resistance is 1182 and 1240, just some clear hourly lower highs. So Cron is also shifting momentum. We're not at risk of losing the daily uptrend, but we have pulled back at this point 15 down to 11.50. So at this point, that's a $3.50 pullback out of 15. That is more than a 20% pullback. So we have to ask ourselves, what are the odds that before October 17th and over the next 15 trading days that the bulls are going to be able to go from 11.50 back over 15.30? And again, at this point, that is about a 35% move. Without news, I don't think it can happen personally. So that is something that I'm keeping in mind. The more we pull back from our recent highs, the harder it is for the bulls to get back to those levels. Looking at names like ACB, obviously we hit that new high today. CGC, we're not that far off from that all-time high. 10% will get us there. So it's different for those names than it is for some of these other names, which have pulled back more significantly. TLRY, still watching a tightening range here, and the bulls did not change the trend on the hourly time frame. We rejected from resistance, which was 121.79. We broke it pre-market, but we have to make the bulls prove it to us during regular trading, which they could not do. They rejected. So at this point, support is 105.09, and then we're looking at 99.20 and 97. For the bulls to change this trend on the hourly time frame, we have to break 119 and 121.79 to shift that momentum. If that happens, our daily higher low will be set, and we'll look for follow-through. As I pointed out in the video yesterday, a lot of these names have declining volume patterns. ACB broke it due to the news release or the earnings release, but most other names have not broken it. Let's just run through real quick. Cron broke it, but not convincingly, fairly in line with the previous day's volume. APH, same thing, just barely broke it, not a convincing break. And CGC, same thing. So I don't consider those clear breaks of volume in the pattern that I was looking for. So that's, again, something I'm going to be watching for tomorrow as well. But TLRY is the most clear stair-step down pattern for that volume. Inside bar on the daily, we'll see how it breaks. Potential for a shift. RIV, I'm watching it now because of the same reason. Potential for a shift. We're looking for a base of support to be found and a change of trend on the hourly time frame to indicate the bulls are ready to show up. At this point, our low is 645. Our high is 755. The bulls must form a higher low compared to 645 and then break 755 to get follow through and change the hourly trend, give us our daily support level, and then we'll look for a lower high on the daily to be set, perhaps around the $9 range. So the way to play this trade is to bottom fish the low of the day or the low of the forever and look for an entry. Let's say if we pull back to 670, let's say I make an entry at 670, I put my stop below 647, trying for that higher low to form. I can wait for a trend change on the 15-minute time frame to be more confident that my hourly higher low has formed. So it's all these time frames overlapping each other. If I want more details about a certain pattern, I just zoom in to the shorter term time frame. So if I'm looking for a daily higher low to form, I'm looking for a change of trend on the hourly. If I'm looking for an hourly higher low to form, I'm looking for a change of trend on the 5 or the 15-minute time frame. It's all just these fractals of time frames and how they all overlap and interact with each other. So that would be a bull entry opportunity utilizing support. A more patient bull is going to wait for a break of resistance and get some follow through when we do change that hourly trend. The risk and reward will be smaller if you do wait and have more patience, and that's what some traders prefer. So that's what I'm watching on RIV. It's a fairly similar setup to TLRY, just in the sense that the daily chart's an inside bar and the hourly trend still has to prove a trend change for us. NBEV, another one, daily inside bar. I was going to be looking to play it today, looking for that daily higher low. As soon as I saw the higher open forming, I threw it out the window because that was not the setup that I wanted, and I'm not going to chase a trade. The trade has to come to me. Otherwise, I'll just go find something else. We are in control over these tickers. So what I'm looking at on NBEV is the same thing as TLRY and RIV. We have a daily inside bar, and we're looking for a change in trend on the hourly time frame. Higher low right now. Ideally, the bulls want to hold 426 and break 519 to change this hourly trend and have us looking for the daily higher low to be clearly established. So still work to do on the hourly time frame, but all three of these names here at the end, very similar setups and watching for change of trend on the hourly time frame. So that's where we stand as we head into tomorrow. Bear momentum. We'll see if we get a gap down open. Let's see where we are right now. 40 minutes after the close, slightly higher on CGC, slightly higher on Cron, slightly higher on TLRY. We'll see if that holds up into pre-market trading. Again, healthy consolidation as far as CGC and ACB are concerned. Little bit more nerve-wracking for the bulls of APH and Cron. And we'll see what tomorrow brings. FOMC, 2 p.m. Eastern. Thanks for watching. Hope you all have a great night. Do some good things out there. See you tomorrow.